Today we're going to be seeing if we can get up and climb that hill. First to the top of the hill wins. Challengers are the Artisan Cutlery Sirius and the We Esprit. The referee, Everyday EDC, did not script this bout before recording it, so he does not know what the outcome is and is just as excited as you to find out what's gonna happen. He also would very much appreciate it if you would subscribe. Let the first round looks begin. And the We Esprit comes out swinging. This is a laconico design, very traditional to the average laconico designs. If I could show my old Kaiser Gemini, it would be very, very similar to the aesthetic profile and lines of this knife. Now, he did happen to add this orange peel texturing that feels really good. That blade is probably his best looking blade to date. And this just looks like a very clean, classy knife. If I had to grade it on a scale of 0 to 10, this could easily get an 8.5 to 9.5. Now I'm reserving that 10 mark or the 9.5 mark very, very much so for that knife that really wows me. I don't want to jump the gun right out of the gate. Overall, I think this is, well, we'll settle on a 9. I think this is a gorgeous looking, classy, kind of boring, but that classy look makes up for that boring look when it's open. When it is closed, it would look fantastic like this. This would be one of the best looking knives, very classy, very traditional, but you have that front flipper. That front flipper makes it kind of look dumb. I think all front flippers kind of make knives look dumb. They are fun, but they make them look dumb. So while I had it at a 9, I'm gonna knock this guy right back down to an 8.5 because if that wasn't there, this knife would look so much better. The Artisan Cutlery Sirius is a really good looking knife. They have this awesome micro milling patterns going on down both of the scales. But one place where they slacked off is they didn't make it match on the pocket clip. While this micro milling looks sick, why wouldn't you match it on the pocket clip? That's such an easy thing to do and something that, if you're paying attention, it's gonna be really hard to miss. The profile of this knife looks fantastic. I love that straight line profile. There are no ergonomic lines. It is very neutral and that creates a very clean, beautiful profile. That being said, because I am the one judging the looks, I don't like the long stabbier knives. I actually prefer the taller face knives, such as the We Esprit. That blade face alone takes it down for me. And if it was just up to the handles, I think the We Esprit would win it as well. I hesitate to say this, but the champ is gonna get 2 points. The Artisan Cutlery just didn't do enough. And we talk about how they didn't do the micro milling on the pocket clip. Well, guess what? The We Esprit did. He's getting 2 points for the looks, coming right out the gate. So the score is showing up as 2-0 after the first round for the We Esprit. For the Enthusiast rating, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave my subjective views out of this one, and I'm gonna let the other reviewers handle it.
This is excellent. At $220, yeah. The We Esprit is the most interesting thing that We has done for a long time. This is really, really nice, and I'm very happy with it.
All in all, man, this thing is such a good knife.
Overall, I love the knife. I think this is going to be a hot seller for them. I think we knocked it out of the park. It looks very laconico, customist.
The Sirius, as it sits, is actually a recommendable knife. I like this. I think the best version of this right now, and I think it's a great deal, is this guy right here. The thumb stud, the one that's a thumb stud opener.
Overall, the Enthusiast rating was kind of a hard one to judge, seeing as how everybody has mixed emotions on these, but the We Esprit really shook the world. You see it several times, how reviewers are saying this is one of the best knives of 2021, and I don't disagree. So I'm gonna give the We Esprit 1 point. Not for decimation, because the Sirius did shake up a lot of stuff and it was a really good knife for Artisan Cutlery, but the We Esprit is definitely a little bit more so. The third round, uses. As I said before in uses, I'm also going to talk about the fidget factor of the knife. I don't want to make a sole category on fidget factor, but fidget factor is one of the things that we do with our knives. You can reverse flick it just easy. You can thumb flick it just easy. You can front flip it just easy. I think, yep, we can also do that rollover flip just easy. So I have 4 ways of fidgeting with this, and it is pretty nice to fidget with. It's not completely drop shut, but it's just enough to where it makes me happy. Accessing that lock bar is not a problem, thanks to that scalloping that they got going on right there. The Artisan Cutlery Sirius only has one method of deployment. It's a little bit snappier, and it is the front flip. It is a little bit easier to do the roll over the top like that though too. So while it only has 2 methods of deployment as opposed to 4, it's a little bit snappier. So when it comes to the fidget factor, I am going to have to say that these are relatively tied. But that's not all of the category when it comes to uses. Putting these knives up against each other, the Artisan Cutlery Sirius is definitely going to be a little bit better at puncturing tasks. The problem with that is that it is a little bit better with puncturing tasks, and the knife itself is extremely thin. In use the other day, where this black mark actually came from, I was worried that I was going to snap this tip. Now, I've snapped a couple tips of knives before, so I know where that threshold point is. I did not snap it, it did not bend. That's a good thing. But that hesitation was there. When it comes to belly, there's a little bit more belly on this We Esprit. That lends it to have a little bit more of an enjoyable time while slicing through things, despite not having quite as much cutting edge. Even though the cutting edges are very, very similar, you're getting maybe 1/8 of an inch more out of the Artisan Cutlery Sirius. As you can see here, this is a thin knife, but you see all the bulk going to it. Now let's show you the Artisan Cutlery Sirius right next to it. You can definitely tell which one's a little bit more robust. Now, we don't need something that you can baton with as an EDC on a regular. That's not what this is about. This is about, can I put it in my pocket and feel confident that most of the tasks that this knife has to address in the day are going to be done? And I feel that the We Esprit definitely handily does that. Leaving this round not only a winning in overall use, but there's more methods of deployment as well. So there's going to be another 2 points to the We Esprit, making it a 5-0 showdown. Round 4, let's get back to the basics. First, let's take a look at the ratios. The overall length's coming in at 8 inches, and the cutting edge itself is coming in at 3.5 inches as well, making a very good blade length to handle length ratio. So not only is it a 1-for-1 in the weight class, it is almost a 1-for-1 in the length. Going back to our champ here, this chunky boy is coming in at 3.45 ounces with a blade length of 3.25. Not quite giving it the 1-to-1 ratio that the Artisan Cutlery Sirius has. While these ratios are good, I have to give the ratios over to the Artisan Cutlery Sirius definitely a little bit lighter, despite having almost 1/2 of an inch of length on the We Esprit. That's only half of the basics, guys. Let's check out the fit and finish. The We Esprit is one that I've been carrying, and I can tell you firsthand is very well done. Everything matches. We have orange peel on everything, and it just looks gorgeous. The seams are very, very nice. We have the lanyard post right here that is non-obtrusive and kind of cool looking. The pocket clip is recessed and the screws are flattened so that there's nothing to catch on your pants. The blade grind and the swedge are done very, very nicely and very, very symmetrically. I don't see any differences between the two. The plunge grind is done really well, and you have a ton of cutting edge thanks to that sharpening choil. I can also tell you this knife sharpened up very well. This is the first edge that I put on it myself. The Artisan Cutlery Sirius. This knife looks fantastic. We have these micro milling patterns going on both sides of the scales, but where it falls short is we half-assed it and didn't put anything on that pocket clip. The backside looks pretty damn good. We have Ray Laconico Artisan Cutlery written right there. We have the lanyard post right there, and once again, in Ray Laconico fashion, non-obtrusive. This is where I run into the issue, guys. Do you see the swedge start? These are the swedge lines where they start grinding up the blade. They are not symmetrical. That's not a big deal, but for $200 and a production knife that is made on machines with precision equipment, that kind of frustrates me. Everything else is fine. There is no major issues with the primary edge. There's no major issues with the secondary edge going on down here. It came out of the box sharp enough. The sharpening choil and plunge grind are done very well. So while the Artisan Cutlery Sirius does do a lot of things very well, it is not world class like the We Esprit. I wouldn't call this a 2-point decimation just over some micro milling on the pocket clip or a slightly uneven swedge grind, but it's definitely going to be a 1. Giving the champ 1 more point, leaving it 6-0. The last round, materials for the price. So let's take a look at the Artisan Cutlery Sirius. We have S35VN for the blade steel, some micro milling on the titanium, Micromilling on this titanium, it is on ceramic ball bearings, and the action is very, very nice. There's no milling on the inside of the knife to relieve any types of weight, so it's basically 2 titanium slabs that are milled, screwed together, with a blade in the center. Now, unfortunately for the Artisan Cutlery Sirius, the We Esprit is batting with 20 CV. We have orange peel texturing that you also don't see on a lot of titanium frame locks, and they have this cool construction where they have the one screw going all the way through, making this a dream for disassembly and maintenance. The last thing to note here is that there is milling on the inside of the We Esprit. That milling may not seem like much, but what that does is that actually allowed it to compete in the categories of ratios. They took off a lot of weight in order to balance this knife out properly. So not only did they orange peel the sides, give you 20 CV, do a really nice looking blade shape, they actually spent some time on the inside of the knife as well. Now, while I thought that pinning the Artisan Cutlery Sirius up against the We Esprit, both Ray Laconico designs, was going to be such a good idea, the Sirius felt like such a good knife. But when you start objectively looking at it, it didn't stand a chance. With an 8-0 shutout, we have our answer.